If you have grass or weeds to cut, but can't access the spot with your lawnmower, you need a string trimmer for the job. It's compact, letting you cut around and in between objects, and doesn't ride on the ground, so you can easily use it on a steep terrain. A string trimmer slices the vegetation in its path with a rotating nylon line. The motor that turns the spool of line is protected by a two-part housing made of polymer. The polymer pellets are pumped through pipes to the hopper that feeds an injection molding machine. The machine melts them, then shoots the liquid plastic into housing-shaped molds. The machine then cools the molds to solidify the plastic and ejects the molded parts, which a robot grabs and places in a collection box. To make other plastic parts of the string trimmer, they install different molds on the injection molding machine and hook up the feed line for whichever color pellets they're using. To make the cutting line, an extrusion machine melts down plastic pellets, then forces the liquid plastic through a round die to form line. A cold water bath cools and solidifies the shape. Then heated rollers stretch the line until it's reduced to 3 millimeters in diameter. The line is wound onto large spools, which feed the machines that wind the finished trimmer spools. On the engine assembly line, an automated machine applies sealant to the magnesium engine pan. They place the cylinder on an assembly fixture, apply a gasket, then insert the piston. Already assembled to the crankcase, its up and down motion turns. Then they mate the engine pan to the crankcase, the sealant in between making that connection airtight. An automated machine screws the components together, then closes off the exhaust ports and pulls a vacuum to test the seal. If the engine assembly passes the test, it continues down the assembly line. They install a gasket, the carburetor, another gasket, and the housing for the air filter. Then they install a baffle, which distributes air so that it enters the air filter evenly. They attach a gasket under the muffler and screw the muffler onto the cylinder. The gasket and sealant on the screws ensure that only exhaust gases can escape through the muffler. Next, the flywheel. When it rotates, magnets inside produce an electromagnetic field the ignition uses to set off the spark plug that starts the engine combustion cycle. After mounting the clutch on the flywheel, they install the spark plug on the cylinder. This automated machine simultaneously tightens the spark plug, the clutch, and the flywheel to specified torques. By this point, workers have welded a fuel tank to the motor housing. They've also installed a trigger release, and a stop switch. They place the assembled engine into the housing. They also place the air filter into the filter housing. At the next station, they attach the other half of the motor housing. A robot tightens the screws to a specific torque. Next, they screw a cover onto the filter housing. Then they complete the trimmer's power head by installing the starter cover. It contains the cord you pull to start the engine. Elsewhere in the factory, they build the shaft assembly, to which they'll later attach the power head. First, they put together the handle and the gear head that turns the spool of line. Then they install the spool. When the cutting line wears down from use, you tap the spool against the ground to automatically advance more line. They insert the shaft assembly into the power head. The other end of the drive shaft connects to the gear head. The last step is to attach the gear head's deflector, which is designed to help prevent what you're trimming from flying up at you. To use the string trimmer, you fill the fuel tank with the gas and oil mixture. Then just pull the cord to start her up.